I'll never understand why, this happened, but, I do believe that God has chosen me for whatever reason, and He's entrusted me with a legacy to keep going. And, so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I hope I make them proud in the process.
Well, everybody, today we have a very special guest. We have Autumn Nelon with us. She is, of course, a beloved daughter of gospel music and not a stranger to the CCM world. You all know and love her and watched her grow up singing with her family, the Nelons. And what is very close to the second anniversary, I think we just passed it, of the tragic accident that claimed her family members. Autumn is with us to share about her new song, her new single, that is devastatingly beautiful and so sweet. And we are just thrilled to have you with us today, Autumn.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, 2-year anniversary. That is a big anniversary. You've had a lot of change in your life in those 2 years. You've stepped into
Yeah,
motherhood.
I
You've
did.
stepped into this new ministry that you're having to take on, or I guess that you've inherited now. Tell me
Mhm.
what life has been like for you.
So my baby boy, his name is Rhett. He was born on December 1st, 2024, on my mom's birthday. So that was really, really sweet and special to
Amazing.
me. Um, and then aside from that, I've just been in the studio making new music and working on a new album that should be out next year sometime. And when we were coming up with this single, um, and the 2-year anniversary was coming up, I was like, what better day to honor them by releasing this single, on that date or close to that date. And so I was like, what better day than to release it, close to this anniversary, because what better way to honor them than to release a song that basically explains, how I feel. So
Absolutely.
it was a bittersweet day, but it meant a lot to me too.
I just love the words of the single. For those of you who don't know, it says, I'll Find You is the title of the song.
Mhm.
And for anyone who has experienced any type of loss, especially of a close loved one, I've lost my mother. And every time I hear this song, I automatically think of her and how the reunion in heaven is just going to be such a beautiful thing. But my
Yeah.
favorite part is the last line, the maybe you'll find me. I
Yeah,
was,
and, I believe that, I know we wrote that line, but then I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna have to look for my mom or my sister because they're gonna be standing there, and any loved ones that, anybody has lost, I think they're gonna be there waiting. And, that's when we were writing that song, I wrote it with Joseph Habedank and Kenna, which are fantastic
yes,
writers,
very big
and
names we're familiar with around here.
yes, and so, that was the idea of the song is not only to bring healing to myself and encouragement to myself, but to, anybody who has lost a family member. And, the amount of people since this single has released that have come to me and said, "This makes me think of my mom," or "This makes me think of my dad." And just today, I had a gentleman come up to me and say, "My brother died a week ago, and we're gonna play this song at his funeral."
Oh my
Um
gosh.
and so it's doing exactly, what I wanted it to do and hoped it would do, and that is, to bring encouragement to people.
I mean, it brings encouragement to me. I think one of the things that we all have in common as believers is that, you know, death can't hold us back. We know we're going to see the people who love us and who love the Lord um,
Yeah.
one sweet
Goodbye
day, right?
yeah.
And
Goodbye is not the end of the story.
exactly. I'm so encouraged by it. And I think it's my favorite. Well, other than that last line, I also love that you led with it doesn't make sense. A lot of
Mhm.
times we as Christians, we want to cling to this like, well, God is going to make it all make sense. Well, sometimes the story stays messy. Sometimes we don't know why things happen the way they
And
did.
until I get to heaven, I'll never understand why, this happened. But, I do believe that God has chosen me for whatever reason, and He's entrusted me with a legacy to keep going. And, so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I hope I make them proud in the process.
Well, I can't speak for them, but I can say, as someone who's been watching from behind the scenes, it has been wonderful to watch you step into this new role. Tell us what that ministry has looked like for you now.
So I always joke and say, I'm the least likely one to have been doing all of this because if you knew me when I was with my family, I was so I wasn't necessarily shy, I just did not wanna talk, like, in front of a ton of people, I didn't like to do interviews, any time that I could find my way out of doing stuff like that, I would do. I just didn't want any part of it. And so now I jokingly say they're probably up in heaven laughing at me because I'm having to do all of this now. And they're like, "You're making up for all those years that you didn't wanna, talk and stuff." But honestly, like, God has just given me such comfort and peace along this journey, and, I found out that I can do things, that I didn't think I was capable of doing. And so, not only bringing encouragement to me through all of this, but to other people by me telling my story, and even though what happened to me was absolutely terrible, God has still been good to me and he's still been faithful. And so that's what I want people to know.
That I think that's exactly right. That's what anyone could hope for in your situation. The fact that you got up and you just kept right on going and you followed God's plan for your life and stepped into this new mission. And it's been incredible to watch. And I'm excited to see where it continues to go.
Oh,
I'm
thank
also
you.
excited to see if maybe Rhett comes alongside of you one of these days. I'm sure he's growing up listening to your voice, but also your mom and your sister right along with you. How are
Yeah.
you? Are we shaping a musical prodigy here? Are we going to have another rendition of the
You
Nalens?
know, I he loves music, he does, he loves drums, like, he always pats his hands on things, he dances, he claps right on beat, he can match pitch already at, 20 months old.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so, I mean, time will tell, but I always make sure I have pictures of my family, of course, all in my house, and so we'll go around, I'll say, "Who's that?" And he'll say, "Gigi," that's my mom. "Who's that?" And that's Amber. So I do my best to keep them in his memory and so that he'll always know who they are, but, I music is in his blood, it's in his genes, so, I guess we'll just wait and see what happens, but I hope so.
Well, that's very encouraging and very exciting. What do you think is the directive that you've been given in these moments? Obviously, we're countering grief, but also like what is it that Autumn has been called to do?
Okay, this weekend, I'm doing my first women's conference, and
Oh,
I'm the keynote speaker, which have
that's
you asked me
exciting.
3 or 4 years ago, I would be like, "Absolutely not." But right now, what I believe that God has called me to do is obviously singing, of
Of
course,
course, yeah.
but I think it is to tell my story, and I think it is to tell these people, that sometimes life is hard and sometimes things happen that, you know, you'll never understand until you get to heaven one day. But, the faithfulness of God and how good he is to you no matter what happens. He's always good. Even though what happened to you is bad, he's good. And so I think that's my mission right now, and that's what I've been called to do. So, yeah.
As someone who's been dealing with pretty intense grief, how, how do you think your view of heaven has changed? Obviously in your song we understand that you believe that our loved ones will be there to greet us and all of that, and which I do too. But do you think going through something like this changes what heaven actually looks like to you?
Yeah, as a believer, heaven is obviously talked about all the time and how it's going to be like. But especially when I was writing this song, I wanted to kind of put in there my point of view of how I feel like heaven's going to be.
Absolutely.
And, when I enter through those gates after I kneel at the Savior's feet, I do think my mom's gonna be right there. My sister's gonna be right there. My dad's gonna be right there.
Mhm.
My sister's babies that she lost, they're gonna be there. She's already,
She's
holding
with
them.
them.
She's
Yeah.
playing with them. Um, but growing up, you always hear, "Oh, well, the rapture's coming soon," and I do believe that. But before I got married and before I had a kid, I would always pray, "Lord, please just let me get married first. Let me have a baby first." But now that I have loved ones there, I'm like, "Lord, you can come whenever you want to,
I know.
whenever you feel the time is right." So, yeah, I would definitely say it's changed just a little bit for me.
I feel like it makes it more real when you
Yeah.
realize, like, you've got people there waiting on you. When you hear the recordings of you and your mom and your sister, do you hear them differently knowing that you're not hearing their voice every single day anymore?
Yeah, well, when we recorded this last album that we put out as the Nelons, obviously, the thought of this being the last one never crossed my mind. I said to
Of
somebody
course,
else,
yeah.
"You always hear about things happening to other people, but you just never think that they're gonna happen, to you." And so, honestly, even to this day, it's still very surreal to me that they're not here. Um, so, like, my mom's, last song that she ever recorded will always have a song. I have it right here, and it says, "We'll always have a song."
Oh, I
And
love
then yeah, and then for my sister, she loves Disney, and so
Ah,
I got a little Mickey for
how
her.
cute. Oh, that's
Yes.
amazing. We're Disney people too. I totally get it.
Oh my goodness, we love it, and that was the thing that I did this week is, with it being the 2-year anniversary, my family, like I said, we always loved going to Disney, so I was like, "Let's just take a trip." I think I used it as a little more of a distraction for me just to, so I don't get, sad, even though that's kind of impossible when something like this happens to
Right.
you.
But
Especially in Disney where I have all these memories. But it was
that's a
good to
happy
be
distraction.
right, and so I think we made the right decision with being there. But, yeah, I mean, I still listen to some Nelon songs, and they still even come on the radio, and I'm just like, gosh, it is just hard to believe that all of this has happened, and who knew that, when we were recording that last album that that was it, you know?
Well, only God could have known. And one of the greatest things about I think about y'all's legacy and even your grandfather's legacy, before your mom took over the band, the songs have always kind of had a central, or at least I would say the most popular songs, a central, what is the word I'm looking for? They all kind of centered around grief and,
Mhm.
understanding that there was more to come and that, you know, heaven was our promise and that the Lord was always with those who were grieving. Um, I've always thought that about your family is, wow, these people
Yeah.
really understand what God was giving us and the gift that heaven is. And now, obviously faced with all of this, I feel like you're living that out even more.
Yeah.
It's it's tremendous. I honestly came into this interview a little nervous today because I didn't know how to approach, someone going through such a devastating thing. And it's not just an instant healing. It's not, oh, you're 2 years
Right.
out. Life is better, you know?
Yeah, I mean, people ask me all the time, "Well, how do you do it?" And I'm like, this is at least for me, I feel like it's not really something that you ever just get over,
Right.
you know? I just have learned how to cope with it, and I have a wonderful support team, I have a wonderful husband, family, friends, and just everybody around my circle has just been so amazing, and comforting and loving and supportive. And so God has just been really good to me. And truly, without Him and the people that I have placed in my life, or that He has placed in my life, um, that's really the only way that I've been able to keep going.
Well, I commend you for that. I'm really excited for your future and what this is going to look like for you. I cannot wait to see what happens for baby Rhett as he grows. And hopefully, the rest of us watching your career will also get to see that. I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you before we head off is, if your mom and Amber could hear the song, I'll Find You, what do you think their thoughts would be on it?
Well, I think they would be like, "Girl, you're not gonna have to find us. We're waiting for you." You know?
That's right.
Uh, but I mean, truly, I hope that they're just proud of me for doing things that, I always said I wouldn't do.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that's the main thing. But yeah, I know when I get to heaven, they're gonna be standing right there.
they are. Well, Autumn, you are truly living the beauty from the ashes, and it is a joy to watch you and to support you. And if there's anything we can ever do for you here at CCM, please do not hesitate. We hope next time you're in
Thank
Nashville, you'll come to the studio and
Yeah,
maybe play something for us or sing for us.
I would
We
love
would
that.
love that. Well, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
we will be seeing you soon. I know we will.
Yes. It is so nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too. Thanks.